Good evening, everyone, and good morning to those of you who are joining us from Australia, Nigeria, and even South Africa. Welcome to the official launch of Bit Toronto. Thank you to each of you for taking the time to join us. Feel free to type in the chat because we're curious where exactly you're joining from, and perhaps Jeffrey or Chike, you can see where folks are joining from. I wanted to send a huge shout out to those of you who have helped to promote our event. The turnout is really amazing. So I'm Stacey Ann Berry, Bit Toronto's chapter president and your host for this evening. The theme for our event is create your own opportunities within the tech ecosystem. Our goal is to facilitate a discussion that will help Black professionals from various disciplines and university students who are in STEM and non-STEM disciplines see how various sectors intersect with technology, as well as identify how you can carve your own niche and add value to the tech ecosystem. The tech ecosystem is filled with opportunities for creatives, advocates, entrepreneurs, sociologists, academics, graphic designers, lawyers, finance professionals, and even public policy professionals, which is a sector that I'm in. The tech sector needs diverse skills, perspectives, and insights. There is room for everyone to contribute. Blacks in Technology Foundation is a nonprofit charity based in the United States of America that has 60 chapters in 12 countries and counting. You will learn more about what we do during the fireside chat with our panelists. So we will kick off the event by introducing the team behind Bit Toronto. I would like to invite one of our committee members, Malua Bailey, to help with introducing the Bit Toronto team so you can learn more about what we do and why we joined Bit. Over to you, Malua.
Thank you, Stacey, and thank you for everyone for attending. We're really excited to have you here at our launch. So I'm going to start off by asking our committee members to introduce themselves, and then please share what they do. Please share what you do, your core areas of expertise, and why you joined BIT. And we're going to start off with our chapter president, Stacey. I know you just gave a little bit of an introduction, but if you could just share what you do outside of BIT, your core areas of expertise, and why you joined.
So for sure. So I am the president and founder of B Stellar Group, Inc., a government relations and professional development firm based in Toronto. My core areas of expertise are public policy, strategic planning, fundraising, community engagement, and event planning. I joined BIT because I wanted to contribute to supporting a nonprofit organization with a global reach that is plugged into the Black diaspora, but centered on creating more access and equity within the tech sector. So for me, BIT encourages our community to collaborate, go where we are underrepresented, and build our own table, which all aligns with my values.
Beautiful. Thank you, Stacey. And we're very happy to have you as our chapter president. Next, we're going to move on to Raynell Manning. Raynell, if you could introduce yourself, please share what you do, your core areas of expertise, and why you joined BIT Toronto.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Raynell Manning, and I am the administrative director for BIT Toronto. I recently completed my first year at Osgoode Hall Law School. Currently, I'm interested in potentially practicing in the areas of intellectual property, entertainment, or technology law. I'm also the equity advisor on Osgoode's Black Law Students Association. And so Blacks in Technology has provided me with an opportunity to continue my involvement with the broader Black community while also cultivating my interest in the tech field and exploring other related potential practice areas.
Amazing. Thank you, Raynell. Next, I'm going to move on to Fatima Kamenge. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong.
Hi, my name is Fatima Kamenge. I am the membership director at BIT Toronto, and I currently hold one of the hats I currently have is the lead of validation and launch at District 3, which is the technology incubator for Concordia University based in Montreal. The reason why I joined BIT is because I've been in entrepreneurship for many years, and especially around technology, and being able to support our members and work with a community of Black folk to bring more Black folk in technology based on all the good things that come in technology is very interesting to me. So I'm excited to see what we build together. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you. Next will be Alyssa. Can you please introduce yourself, Share what you do, your core areas of expertise, and why you joined Bit Toronto.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alyssa Gordon. I am the Events Director for Blacks in Technology Toronto Chapter. I have a Bachelor of Arts Honors degree in Law and an Honors Graduate Certificate in Paralegal Studies. I am currently a paralegal licensing candidate. I also work as a legal administrative assistant at Deloitte. I have experience in legal research, client relations, and project management. Apart from my professional life, I have a passion for giving back to the community. I have expertise in events planning and fundraising. I joined Blacks in Technology to network with Black professionals and to help encourage individuals get more involved in the tech community.
Thank you so much, Alyssa. Next, we will go to Patricia Azabe.
Hi, everyone. Bonjour à tous. Thank you so much. So my name is Patricia Azabe. I'm the marketing director at Bit Toronto. I'm also a founder of Luvila Marketing, which is a multicultural marketing agency focusing on Black entrepreneurs and organizations. So providing strategic marketing, branding, web design, social media marketing services. I'm also a IBM consultant for IBM US. So yeah, my core business is really marketing, communication, project management. Excited to join. Really happy to be part of that team, because my goal was really to I would say give the opportunity to women, young youth, like to step into the tech industry, and no matter their background. So this is really an opportunity to promote that.
Thank you so much, Patricia. And last but not least, our last director, Jeffrey.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jeffrey Ikeaka, and I'm the Outreach Director of Blacks in Technology. And so what I do, I'm an entrepreneur, and I also work in the charity sector, focusing on mental health and education. And my areas of expertise are entrepreneurship, business consulting, marketing, fundraising, and event planning. So I joined Bit, to help youth in less privileged community get access to technology. Okay, now, so I'm going to go ahead and ask our committee members to introduce themselves. So I'm going to start with Marlaina. Can you please let us know why you joined Bit, your area of expertise, and what you do?
Thanks, Jeffrey. So hi, everyone. My name is Malua. I'm the marketing assistant here for Bit Toronto. Professionally, I work at national office at one of the biggest banks in Canada as a corporate communications consultant. And my main focus is internal comms with a focus on employee engagement. And I joined Bit Toronto because I really support the goals and the mission of the organization as a whole, and I would love to contribute to the impactful work. And I also saw it as a great opportunity as a young professional to develop my marketing skills, as well as volunteer and gain knowledge of the tech sector.
Okay, over to you, Jaden Medford.
Hi, my name is Jaden. So yeah, the reason I'm just recently graduated, so I studied political science, economics, and international development. Really interested in, hopefully my area of expertise would be in law, intellectual property, technology, because I'm really interested in the health industry specifically, regulations around that. I'm getting experience right now working in government specifically for national revenue. And so I joined Bit because, well, quite frankly, at McGill, I never had a single Black professor. So I think it's a great time after I'm done that to learn from, be around Black professionals and educators. And I'm also a part of Operation Black Vote Canada. So I'm looking forward to all the connections and discussions that we're going to have in Bit. Thanks.
Thank you, Jaden. And over to you, Sheila Career.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Sheila, and I'm the membership and volunteer assistant for the Bit Toronto chapter. I joined Bit because a few years ago I was involved with a similar organization named National Society of Black Engineers. Being in this organization gave me a positive representation of what Black engineers look like, and just that image influenced my decision to study software engineering in university. I'm a recent graduate with the hopes of landing a job in my field. And I was a member of NESB 5 years ago, for 5 years, which was 5 years ago, and having been part of an organization that serves the community. So when Stacey approached me to join BIT, I joined because I anticipated that BIT would have the same values and purpose as NESB, which is to serve the community and increase Black bodies into STEM and tech companies. And I want to be a part of that. I also want to build meaningful connections and connect with people who look like me, who work in tech sectors and that are interested, that work in tech sectors and in especially the backgrounds I'm interested in, which is cloud engineering and cybersecurity. But for now, I just want to focus on building full stack web applications.
Thank you so much, Sheila. And finally, over to Chike Odenibo.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Hello, everyone. My name is Chike Odenibo, and I'm an administrative assistant at BIT Toronto. In my career, I currently work as a data scientist at one of the largest telecommunications companies in Canada. My skill sets are in app development, machine learning, and governance. And I joined BIT Toronto because as a data scientist, I can see the impact that technology has. And quite frankly, the lack of visibility that we have in our community in this space. And by joining BIT, I want to contribute to building our Black ecosystem and bringing us to power. Thank you.
Thank you, Chike.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey and Malua, for helping to introduce our team. So as you all can see, we are a team of rock stars, dynamic people, and a good mix of millennials and Gen Zs. So I now would like to invite our administrative director, Raynell Manning, to introduce our phenomenal and the dynamic Keisha A. Brown, our guest speaker.
So I'll just start off reading a short bio. Keisha A. Brown, civil rights lawyer, DEI advocate, and new mom, is the founder and CEO of legal tech startup Justis Connection, an online marketplace dedicated to the Black experience in the law. It is also the nation's only Black lawyer referral and legal resource platform. In her past life, she has been involved with revamping the Baltimore City Civil Rights Department as executive director, overseeing the Wage Commission, which enforced the minimum prevailing and living wage laws, the Community Relations Commission, the local EEOC, which also enforced the Ban the Box law, and the Civilian Review Board, the only independent agency authorized to investigate police misconduct. Also, as an active member of her community, she is vice chair for the Copen State University Foundation Board and board secretary of the National Children's Center, as well as a board director for the Prince George's County Social Innovation Fund. Ms. Brown has served on numerous boards and committees that have allowed her to devote her time to social justice, such as KIP Baltimore, Job Opportunities Task Force, Vehicles for Change, and the Community Law Center. She is also a former president of the Alliance of Black Women Attorneys of Maryland. And so without further ado, I will hand the stage over to Ms. Keisha A. Brown to share with us this evening.
Thank you so much, Raynell. That was really cool. Sometimes it's a little nerve-wracking when you hear your own bio. You're like, I hope it's all good stuff. But I appreciate you sharing that. And I just have to start off with a shout out to the president of BIT Toronto, the illustrious Stacey Ann, for bringing us all together and being a true leader, right, in creating this space. And to Dennis and Greg, who you'll hear from later, who created this space for us. And as someone who never thought of myself as a technologist, never thought I was going to be an entrepreneur in the tech space, to have this group, to have this network, to have the opportunity to connect with other folks who look like me, who are interested in, like me, in the tech world, who want to develop and be a part of the change in utilizing and harnessing the power of technology. It's a powerful thing. And so it's really cool to be here and just hearing everyone who introduced themselves, right? And I mean, this is not, y'all not just first round, this is some deep stuff, and bringing together folks who have real vision. And that's what it's all about, right? Is being able to be connected, being able to network, being able to educate, and being able to engage in a way that elevates all of us. So I consider myself new to tech, but I am still very true to tech, right? And claiming my technologist self. And I encourage everyone else to do that too, right? I thought the theme of this evening, create your own opportunities in the tech ecosystem, says it all. Creating your own opportunities. Because oftentimes we expect, or we hope, or we wish, or we're looking for something else, right? Something to be there that we can just come into and be like, oh, this feels great, right? We already got it all set up and I just come in and I'm just flourishing. And it's really about being able to take the gifts, the inspiration, the talent that is within all of us and be able to manifest that through technology. Right. And we're living in a modern era, right? This is the 21st century, 2022. We can't go back. We're not going backward, y'all. This is it, right? Technology is here. It's shifting every day. Every day somebody's like, oh yeah, you know about the NFT and the ABC and the XYZ? And you're like, yes, I do, clearly, of course. And then you're like, wait, let me check real quick, right? And that's okay. That's literally okay, because I think sometimes we think that everyone else knows, right? Technology. Everyone else has a PhD in engineering, and it's not the case, right? You can be marketing and be connected to tech. You can be a lawyer, right? And be involved in technology. And for me, being a lawyer and getting into technology, I started with a vision, started with a passion, right? My purpose on this planet is to advocate on behalf of people who look like me. And I do that everywhere I go. And that's what I feel like I'm here to do. And so when I felt inspired with the vision to connect Black people to solid legal resources, right? I saw time and time again where we didn't have that access, right? We all hear and know about injustice. We have our own situations. We have family members, friends, and oftentimes we don't even know that there was an avenue or there is an avenue that we can avail ourselves of the justice system. And that's where I felt like there was this disconnect, right? And that Black lawyers in particular had a duty to our community to show up and to show out and to be those defenders and those advocates. And that's traditionally the role of the Black lawyer. And so I'm going to tell you a quick story about sort of how I came into tech in a way to really show how I started to create this opportunity, right? I was on LinkedIn, which I highly recommend. That's how I know Stacey Ann and Dennis and others. We just connected and was like, you good people, let's be connected, right? And figure out how we support one another. And I saw that a lawyer had left his big firm job and he was going off to create his own company. And at this point, I had just been laid off, right? Keeping it real, because sometimes, we think that bad things or messed up things don't happen to, you when you're doing dope things. Yes, they do. People will be like, thank you, there are other dope people or whatever it is. And now it's your time to usher out. And so I'm trying to figure out what's next. And I had this pain point, this experience that kept recurring over and over. And so when I saw this lawyer who was at a big firm, left to go start a company, I reached out and I said, hey, I'd love to connect. So I shared with him when we met what my idea was and what I wanted to do. And he said, Keisha, you want to start a legal tech company? And I was like, I do? Is that what this is, right? And sometimes you need that validation. You need someone to say what you're doing is and can be enhanced using technology in ways that, quite frankly, you yourself don't have to be able to identify right away. You don't have to have the solution on the front end, but allow yourself the opportunity to manifest your vision at its own pace, right? Because I'll tell you, this tech ecosystem is no joke, right? Everybody sees the emails or the announcements. TT got 2 million yesterday and somebody else just made 5.8 million. And it's like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Well, I'm not making my millions yet. Am I behind? Am I not doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I not talented enough? And I will tell you, this world of tech is very competitive, right? It is very driven to create that next unicorn, right? But those aren't the only spaces you have to be in. And that's why a Bit Toronto, right, is so important, because I'm telling you, as someone who considers herself still new in her entrepreneurial journey, that you are going to need your own network, your own safe space. It's crucial in order for you to remain true to creating your own opportunity in this tech ecosystem. So I'll pause there because I know that there's a Q&A, a moderation with Stacey Ann, and we can jump in there.
Thank you so much, Keisha. Very inspirational. And I like how you talk about how we can manifest our greatness and use technology for good, which is really, really essential. So I do want to do a little bit of a deep dive around, Justice Connections. So how is Justice Connection creating the modern day Green Book? And why is this important for creating access to justice and strengthening the Black community?
Yeah. So, I liken Justice Connection to that modern day Green Book. How do we connect in an easy way with solid legal counsel, and using technology to make that process easy for the lawyers as well as those who are looking for that legal support? And one of the things that I found, and you can nod along or say this might be me too in the chat, right, is that when someone is having a problem, it doesn't have to be a legal problem, but when you're experiencing a challenge, there's an emotion connected to it, right? It's frustration, it's anger, it's confusion, it's pissed off, whatever, go down the list, right? There's an emotion that's usually attached to your challenge. And that makes it very challenging for you to often articulate your challenge in a way that allows somebody else to process and receive it and be able to identify how they can assist you in the legal system. And so right away, I saw that utilizing natural language processing would be a way to take somebody's problem and have it identify and use NLP to identify their legal issue, right? And there's a number, let me tell you, I started off thinking one thing, and then as I'm continuing to grow the startup, there are other ideas that are coming, right, to fruition, and how I can use tech. And the more I learn about technology, the more I say that would be great. I need that, right? We need to stir some of that in to make this even better. So I really see Justice Connection as a continuing evolution, right, of this idea about how we increase access to justice for Black people worldwide, because everywhere you are, there is a Black lawyer, and we do it all, right? Whether it's mergers and acquisitions, whether it's IP, copyright, domestic law, families, child support, custody, bankruptcy, taxes, everything. And there's no reason why you can't go into any city in this world, right, and connect with a Black lawyer, someone who's culturally competent to meet you where you are and deliver excellence.
Mm-hmm. That is really, really essential. So I have another question around some of the problems, but even some of the solutions. So in what ways has technology created more barriers or even removed barriers within the judicial system? So for me, I'm thinking about how AI and even facial recognition is being used, but we know that facial recognition misidentifies Black people, women, and children. There's some flaws within that. So in your opinion, how would you comment on this?
Yeah, the thing that I've been realizing, right, is that we're in these spaces, and there's a lot of us right here, right now, who are Black, connected, and interested in technology. And the outside world, right, is not the case, right? We're few and far between in so many areas where we need to be heard and where we need to be seen. And lawyers, I will say, are not well versed in technology at all. I don't think that we as an industry are really thinking and considering the effects of technology on the access to justice, let alone the implementation and the results, the impact of how technology affects justice. I don't even think we've begun as lawyers to really take a deep dive on that. And so a lot of the legal tech, first of all, legal tech is a very small sector in technology, right? You often hear about fintech and ed tech and everything else. But legal tech, everybody's like, it's hard to sell to lawyers. right? Because people often think about it as lawyers as the buyer. We're a very conservative industry, right? We're risk averse, that's our whole training. And lawyers are very territorial on the practice and the access to law. And I think a lot of that is changing, especially with Black people getting more coming into legal tech and to tech itself, because we bring our own experience. We bring our own reality of knowing the other side of how things go. And so our presence is so crucial in how we really make sure that tech doesn't choke us out in in our own pursuit of justice.
Mm-hmm. That's really essential to ensure that we don't get choked out. We do have, even in our team, aspiring lawyers. So what kind of jobs are you noticing in the legal sector that technology has either created, perhaps replaced, or how can aspiring law students prepare for this digital transformation? Because they're now really intersecting.
Yeah, I highly encourage folks who are in law school or thinking about law school to connect with tech companies, right? I take on interns every semester. So you can reach out to me directly if you'd like to talk about that and connect you with other legal tech or other tech companies. Because again, that's not the traditional legal pathway. So for a lot of law students, and it's changing because, Gen Z is like, we do what we want. I want to do something different. I don't need to do what you do, which is awesome. So being able to kind of chart your own path in that. And it may not be the summer associate job at the large law firm or clerking at a judge's office, chambers, but getting that experience with a tech company gives you another vantage point of how the law impacts the everyday person and how technology is intersecting with that.
That's really helpful. Thank you so much, Keisha, for your insights, for your presentation. It was really inspirational, and I think will be very helpful for those who have joined us. I see in the chat that there is some people from the legal community that was trying to figure out how can I find my place within this tech ecosystem as an attorney. So I now want to turn it over to our marketing director, Patricia, who would provide a few key takeaways from your talk and our discussion to our friends in the French community. So over to you, Patricia.
Yes, alors bonjour à tous. Donc, pour ceux qui ne sont pas très à l'aise avec l'anglais, je vais traduire au mieux. Donc, ce qui a été dit, en gros, donc c'est ça, c'est vraiment en fait de pouvoir créer ses propres opportunités, peu importe le background qu'on a. Donc, dans ce cas-ci, Keisha Brown, qui est maître Keisha Brown, je devrais dire, qui est avocate en droit civique. Donc, c'est ça, elle-même, après avoir été virée de son travail, a démarré sa propre compagnie. Et donc, c'est ça, donc elle invite les étudiants en droit et toutes les personnes, en fait, qui sont dans ce domaine-là à essayer de se rapprocher du domaine des technologies, que ce soit à travers des stages, en se connectant avec des personnes dans le domaine des technologies sur LinkedIn, etc. Parce qu'il y a vraiment beaucoup d'opportunités qui ne sont pas... enfin, il y a beaucoup de demandes, en fait, dans les compagnies de technologie au niveau de tout ce qui est juridique. Donc, c'est vraiment le conseil qu'elle donnait. So that's it.
Thank you so much, Patricia, for that French translation. I need to learn my French, though, I'm telling you. But this is amazing. It's so good to have a team with folks that are bilingual. We do have a few other French-speaking members on our team. So I would now like to invite our events director, Alyssa Gordon, who will introduce our dynamic and phenomenal panelists. So over to you, Alyssa.
Thank you so much, Stacy. So we have 4 phenomenal panelists today. I'll start off by introducing Greg. Greg is the founder of the Blacks in Technology LLC and BIT Foundation organizations. Greg has over 20 years of technology experience as a technology engineer. His experience includes DevOps and system engineering, networking, IT security and virtualization, cloud computing. He has a degree in computer network engineering from Cincinnati State College. Blacks in Technology aims to increase the representation and participation of Black people in technology The BIT LLC entity focuses on creating and curating media and content to highlight the stories and journeys of Black people in tech, while the BIT Foundation, a nonprofit membership organization, focuses on empowering members with practical tools and guidance to advance their careers. BIT Foundation does this by removing barriers and helping to level the playing field through programs and resources that enable growth. BIT is stomping the divide by establishing a blueprint of world-class technical excellence and innovation, and providing resources, guidance, and issuing a challenge to our members to surpass the high mark and establish new standards of global innovation. The second panelist I will introduce is Dennis. Dennis is the executive director of the Blacks in Technology Foundation, an organization that boasts the largest network for Black technology professionals with 60 chapters in 12 countries. Dennis has over 25 years of experience in tech, serving in a variety of roles, including enterprise sales, business development, customer service success, and consulting. Dennis's experience includes time at tech's most respected brands, such as Dropbox, Gartner, Samsung, Dell, Lenovo, Rackspace Technology, Veritas Software, APC, and Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, just to name a few. Currently, Dennis is at Microsoft helping major corporations with digital transformation. Additionally, Dennis is the founder of the software as a service startup, Paparazzi, a mobile service for on-demand photography, which is launching soon. The third panelist I will introduce is Daniela. Daniela is a junior postdoctoral researcher at Cortical Labs, a neurotechnology startup company where she contributes to the neuroscience research and hardware design research teams. She recently graduated with a PhD in biomedical engineering in the field of neuroscience and electrode interface fabrication. She has experience in cell culture, neuronal cell differentiation, neuronal cell stimulation, experimental design, and data analysis. She has knowledge in neurophysiology, electrophysiology, neurodevelopment, and electrode interface fabrication, shown by her experience and dedication as a current academic teaching staff at Swinburne University of Technology, her publications, and her research. Her main interests are in neuroscience, neurophysiology, biodevices, biomaterials, translational research, medtech, neurotech, startups, compassionate innovation, inclusion and diversity, and STEM teaching. The final panelist that will be joining us today is Marlaina. Marlaina is a software project manager in the autonomous vehicle space. Her prior experience includes over 5 years as a technical project management professional, servicing many industries, including data migrations, medical device technologies, retail, supply chain, and manufacturing. When not working, she currently serves as the local chapter president for Blacks in Technology, Twin Cities chapter. With that being said, I'll hand over to the panelists for the fireside chat, as well as Stacey.
Awesome. Thank you so much for those introductions, Alyssa. So this question's for all of the panelists. Can each of you briefly highlight how you've created your own opportunity in the tech ecosystem? Perhaps we could start with you, Greg.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Greg Greenlee, the founder of Blacks in Technology organization. To answer your question, really, I mean, I started pretty much on the ground floor. I was a sort of self-taught, hung around a lot of hackers early in my tech career, just trying to learn the ropes of technology and what it entails to be an engineer. Went to a lot of conferences early on, security conferences and things of that nature, and really just started from there. I worked at a computer retail store, which actually provided me resources because they had a book department there that I was able to utilize and get books in order to learn, teach myself things for like the A+ certification and things like that. So I was able to grab books and kind of teach myself early on. And then from there, went on to help desk job, just answering phone calls and directing people and reading scripts and just really kind of learning the ropes. From there, became a network technician at an architectural firm, started learning networking and all the things that it entails, moved up to systems administrator and worked at a data center. And then from there, became a systems engineer and DevOps engineer, and now I'm working as a principal DevOps engineer, which involves a lot of automation, a lot of cloud engineering and building infrastructure using scripts and automated tools and things of that nature. So for me, the journey was long, and I didn't have a community like this to really lean on and in order to get where I'm at. So it was a lot of self-taught things and just kind of, this whole thing came about just realizing the opportunities that there is in tech and how it can change your economic status, and really wanting to provide that opportunity, or at least guidance for that opportunity to other people is kind of what led me to start Blackstone Technology. And I just saw an opportunity because, tech can be a vehicle to other things. So it's not, even if you have interests that are outside of tech can be that start. So for me, for instance, it's enabled me to be able to buy property, do investing, things of that nature, to really enhance, my economic situation. And I think that's key and for the Black community as a whole, to be able to advance ourselves economically is, tech doesn't have to be the end all be all, it can be the start. And then, if you work in this industry, and I tell everyone, I sometimes mentor and I talk to students, and I actually tell them what my salary is, because I think it's important for them to be able to see that this is attainable. And I think it's important for them to see that this is what you can get, but this is just a start, and you can take that and put it into other things that you may enjoy more than tech, right? Some people may enjoy music or art or sports or what have you, or other entrepreneurial ventures more than tech, and this can be that jump to be able to do that. And so, for me, that ecosystem, that tech ecosystem, kind of propelled me and my family to be able to do other things besides tech, right? So.
Thank you so much for that background and sharing your journey and story. Over to you, Janice. Perhaps you can share, how you created your own opportunity in the tech ecosystem.
Yeah. So you listed off a lot of companies, and I didn't expect to work with any of them when I was in college. Quite frankly, I didn't know what I was going to do. My journey was kind of back-ended in, because when I was in high school, I really didn't focus on education as much. I was a jock. I played football. I wanted to, my vision was to play for a Division I football team. That's as far as I thought. And then we'll see what life, yielded me after that. I didn't expect to go to the pros or anything, but I just didn't really have any specific motivation towards any one, direction. And what happened was I ended up getting recruited for college football, but got hurt my senior year. So even though they wanted me to play, I had a nerve injury in my neck And basically that was the end of my football career. But I did still manage to get my way into school. So Virginia Tech was gracious enough. They said, no, look, we know, it's not the ideal situation. We can't grant you a scholarship, but if you can figure out a way to pay for school, then you can go here. And I was like, cool. I was, I had good enough grades, but I don't think I would have gotten in without football, quite frankly. So I kind of lucked out on that. But then while I was there, I was like, I saw all these motivated kids and, basically these young white kids that were, planning their lives. And I was like, okay, I'm clearly behind. I need to catch up quick. So I started to focus on school while I was in college, which is kind of weird. But by the time I got to my sophomore year, I made it through my first year, barely. Actually had to take a couple classes over because I just wasn't ready. Realized that I like computers, I like technology, but I didn't want to be an engineer. Calculus was hard, I didn't like that. So I was like, no, we got to do something else. And I needed to figure out a way to pay for school. And I ended up working each summer, selling books door to door to pay for school. And while I was doing that, I worked in Seattle, I worked in Denver, Colorado, I worked in East Bay, California. And I was out there from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. knocking on doors, trying to sell homework guides, basically, to kids to help them with their homework. I know the story seems like it's not techie, but it's getting there, trust me. So what ended up happening was I ended up doing really well on the sales side. I made enough money to pay for school, buy a little beat up car, and put some money in the bank. And I realized that I like talking to people and I like technology. So I tried to marry the two into technology sales, but there wasn't a technology sales major at Virginia Tech. And I didn't want to do computer science. So I ended up majoring in technology education. So that's what my degree is in, which kind of does a little bit of both things. I mean, when I'm in front of clients, I'm teaching them technology, I'm explaining complex things in a simple form, and sales guys make good money. So that attracted me too. So I was like, if I can work as hard as I did doing manual labor on something that I really didn't care too much about, the things that I'm passionate about, if I can put that same energy in, I know I can be successful. And fortunately enough, a company was gracious enough to open its doors. APC was my first job in the tech field. And if you're not familiar with APC, they do surge protectors, battery backups. I'm sure you guys have seen the little red logo. And I went from customer service, making $23,000 a year, to after 2 years and 3 promotions, going into field sales and making well into 6 figures. So I basically tripled my salary in 3 years. I don't think I could have done that anywhere else in tech. And I won't tell you the specifics, but I am with Greg. When I talk to students, I always tell them, if I can do it, you can do it. I don't work very hard. I tell people all the time, and I joke about it, but theoretically, if you think about hard work and what that entails, I sit behind the desk and push buttons. I'm like George Jetson. I could do this all day and literally do it all day. I just push buttons. As opposed to some of the manual labor jobs that I know my friends and family do, work in retail, work in, food service, working just as hard for a lot less money. So all that to say, my journey, was a non-traditional one in some respects, but I just love computers and I'm curious about tech, and anything that I can do to encourage somebody to pursue the same path, is reason that I wanted to be a part of it. And, I thank Greg for his leadership and vision to create this, this platform. And now we just, putting the turbo boost rockets on it and taking it to the next level. So,
wow, that's a journey and a half, Dennis. Kudos to you, but there's nothing like work ethic diligence, persistence, you have all of those check marks because that transferred into where you are now. So Marlaina, are you ready to share how you've created your own opportunity in the tech ecosystem?
Yeah, I had to like try to gather some notes around here. I always had to figure out like, okay, how can I top Dennis with what he just said? Yeah, sure. So I'm a quote person. So I had two quotes that came to mind before I share it. One, when I think about my journey in tech and creating those opportunities, my favorite quote I like to say is that sometimes you have to create that door and open it to yourself. And that's the case for me. And for me, I've always had a vision and just executed on it regardless. Even if I didn't know the how, the logistics, I knew that I saw a vision, I saw a dream, and I stopped at nothing to get it. Similar to our guest speaker, a few years back, I was laid off from my job where I just had no motivation. And I was watching this Bruce Lee TV series, which was full of so many quotes, but this one quote it clicked for me. And I still say it to this day. And this quote from the TV series, it said that I believe I achieve what I have now because I was pushed to a corner. Other than do my best to change my fate, I could care less about anything else. And that is true for me because being a girl with vision and goals, like you have this idea of what you want your life to be. Like, you know, the traditional steps is go to college, get that dream job, work up the ladder, be that top CEO executive, CIO, CTO, and then that's it. Life's good. And little did I know that life was laughing at me and said, yeah, that's cute. And that wasn't the reality of it. And with my situations at home, it was always something that deterred me from my original goal. And I'd share a little bit of that today, but having no obstacles and being deterred from my goals, it always put me in unplanned circumstances that caused me to change course and to go different routes in my career that led me to the position that I am in now. And I start going through those stages. Like, the first career that I've ever wanted was to literally be a TV host. But I was smart, a straight A student, but I got denied an opportunity to take an early college program because they thought my dream was unrealistic. And I had to do some research and figure out, well, what career should I have? And then that's why I decided to be an epidemiologist and find cures for diseases. Of course, that got me into that college. Then I realized I don't want to be in medical school for the rest of my life. I didn't want to do that. And naturally, being in a poor background, I definitely wanted to be rich because I knew what the struggle was and I didn't want that no more. And I was lazy at home. And so I said, Mom, I'm going to go to school and I'm going to become an entrepreneur. She's like, whatever you do, just go to college. And that's what I did. And so I knew that I wanted to be a businesswoman. I wanted to have my company. And I knew that the next field to be in was technology. And I did my research. I looked up programs, I looked up the course, I got involved, I found mentors. And within those 5 years, I ended up having like 5+ internships in IT. I ended up becoming a 2-time president in my local IT organization. But I've also started my entrepreneurship path. And this is where the detour starts to happen. I didn't tell you that I was a Southern girl who grew up in a household with a mother who was from Mississippi and who really couldn't talk proper English. So I was never taken seriously. And I still struggle saying store sometimes and some other words. And because I was different and I was what they consider like a Southern project girl, I was never saw as a professional, and people said that you would never be an entrepreneur. You need to go to college, stick to that and get a job, that I shouldn't pursue entrepreneurship. And when I had that moment, when I did try entrepreneurship for the first time, I failed at it miserably, to the moment that my significant failure was when I turned down the call that my grandmother was dying. And I never did got that deal. And I was like, maybe I should give up the hope of becoming an entrepreneur and go the traditional career route. So naturally, being a smart girl, I went the traditional route and worked in corporate America. Did extremely well until being a Black woman in corporate America, all the microaggressions, the hidden racism, everything you experience caused me to almost lose my job. And so what I thought that I would grow traditionally into a company, become a CTO, that long-term plan got cut short. And I had to relocate, figure it out, go to another job, take a pay cut, and go down this route that they basically told me that my career was, which was project management. And I've been in project management for 6 years because they told me that was my career path. I didn't really know that there were other careers in technology until literally last year when I decided to take control of my own career and decided to go back to that path of entrepreneurship. But being a Black woman in corporate, especially when there's not really a lot of Black people and you're having to fit in this box just to keep a paycheck, it takes a toll on your mental health. And when people are even saying that maybe IT isn't for you, you should do marketing communications, you start to have a little bit of that imposter syndrome and figure out like, is this really the right field for me? But naturally with experience and I become confident, I knew that IT is for me, it just wasn't the culture. So when I started having this little thing called confidence and really start figuring out what I wanted to do and really figure out what is my love. And when I got laid off, I realized that I never wanted to be in corporate America in the first place. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And so I said, whatever that it took, I'm going to start a business. While other people was trying to figure out how to get their next job, I was figuring out how can I use my leverage, my last paycheck to start a company so I don't have to go back to it. And that's what I did. In that same field, I was trying to get into AI. And this is another story for that one. Get into AI with a project manager background with not a lot of coding experience. They're like, yeah, that's cute too. But you're not going to get a job in AI. You're not going to get a door in AI. I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's fine. I'm not about to go back to school to study AI. I'm not going to learn how to program, but I'm getting into AI. So what did I do? I joined an incubator program and I became an entrepreneur in AI. And that route allowed me to get my job that I have now, that even though I'm still doing that darn project management skill set, but now I lead a team of AI professionals. So I'm still in AI, it's a different route. I'm learning some cool stuff, but I chose a traditional route. And sometimes that alternate route is better than your traditional route. And even though I didn't necessarily plan it that way, just staying persistent and just really leveraging like all other resources to get to where I need to be, I needed to just figure out like what is I need to get there, right? Another aspect of that is I'm not afraid to compromise and to take pay cuts. One of that is volunteering. Like when I was laid off, I volunteered at PMI and I networked with other project managers. I got involved with Blackstone Tech. Like I started meeting people who was in roles that I wanted to be in. And I said, what do I need to do to get in your field? What I need to do to take that job? Who I need to talk to? I was taking coffee with people. I even went into consulting that they gave me a $10,000 pay cut, but I took it because I knew I was going to get free training and I was going to get certified. And even though I had a plan of like 2 years to say, you know what, I'm gonna do a little Uber driving on a weekend and we're gonna make it work. But this is the last year I do Uber driving. Literally it was less than a year. They said, we have an opportunity for you at another company. And it literally tripled my salary. And literally in that triple salary, I entered a 6-figure club. Now, it sounds amazing, but when you think about 6 years of going through the hell I went through, being in toxic cultures and going from job to job, trying to figure out like, what is a culture fit? What is a job fit for you? 5 years is impressive on paper, but it took a lot of bumping heads, figuring out networking, joining this organization, joining that organization, a lot of free coffee, a lot of tricks, Ubering on the side, budgeting, because I hate that. But that 5 years of being all over the place landed me to be this well-established leader in the field of AI, and it's a big field. So I really say that even though you have it figured out, God or life has a way of like making fun of you of that life and decided to say, hey, here's another route. Let's see what you can take with it. So being resourceful and just really seeing where life takes you really helps.
Wow, Marlaina, thank you so much. And you dropped gems, you dropped career tips, advice, insight. Your story is phenomenal. And as you highlighted, like women in tech is another barrier, right? Being a Black woman in tech is even a double barrier. So thanks for being so open, honest, and candid with your journey. So over to you, Daniela. Have you created your own opportunities in the tech ecosystem?
Hi, good morning, everybody. Yeah, thanks for having me. Yes, I'm Daniela. Yeah, so like same thing, same story, you know, in a different way, like non-traditional pathways, right? So I basically grew up in Mauritius. So just basically about me. So I was always outside, love nature, being with, you know, pets and animals. I was a scout camping outside. So yeah, and me working in tech was not really something that I've ever thought of, you know. Yeah, so, but yeah, but always loved sciences, always loved arts. So creativity and sciences was for me. Problem solving, that's what I did all day. In my house, whenever things broke, it was Daniela who actually repaired it. So yeah, so basically that's a bit how I grew up. So then when it came to, you know, what to do after, you know, high school. So yeah, I wanted to do something in sciences, but that helped people. And that was basically my line. And, you know, like being in a, you know, very traditional context, so science and helping people was basically medicine. Right, so I did biomedical study, biomedical sciences, really enjoyed it, but I needed that creativity, you know, coming in. So, and I started thinking a bit about engineering, and it's true, being a woman, so engineering was a bit like, oh, you know, like even my mom was like, what do you want to do? Do you want to be a mechanic? And I'm like, I don't think, you know, that's the only thing. But anyway, so yeah, so then continued on, you know, traditional pathway, enrolled in medical school in France, so Montpellier, south of France. And then during my path there, so I did a few years actually, and I realized, you know, like we need things, innovation. So I started getting involved and interested in innovation in the medical sector. And when you see problems, like there are many problems, especially, you know, in terms of access to healthcare, and me coming from an African country, we are aware and we know how things are and how difficult it can be. Lots of people, you know, we always blame on, you know, funding, politics, etc. But there's also access to appropriate technology in the context. So not everything is everywhere, if that makes sense. So yeah, and that's a bit was my tipping point. So I then left medical school. It was a tragedy for my family. And yeah, and I came to Australia to do a PhD in biomedical engineering. So yeah, so I kind of took that leap of faith to talk to my brother, and he's like, oh, just give it a shot, you know, and yeah, so no real background in engineering, but I always loved problem solving, and that's showed in lots of my, you know, I did a honors research project. That's a bit the path that led me into my PhD program. So spent a bit more, 4 years doing my PhD, which was in, you know, as Elisa detailed a little bit earlier, so electrode design. And basically the technique that I had to develop is how do we stimulate neuronal cells using light and electricity through biomaterials. So really challenging, but it led me to, you know, understand where I really fit and what I really liked, which is, you know, solving problems, especially medically relevant problems, using technology. So after graduating, so I was like, okay, so what do I do? So normally, so for PhD, so lots of people, you know, try to go into more academic sort of pathways, research, etc. But I always was interested in entrepreneurship, innovation, creating products, so commercially relevant technologies. And that's a bit how I ended up at Cortical Labs. So I was advised, I also love teaching. So I love teaching, but then just doing teaching, is not really what people who actually want to prosper in research do. So you have to do research, and commercial research was one of the things that I wanted to go into to understand a bit of the process, and also entrepreneurship. So Cortical Labs, where I work now, so it's a startup, so a neurotechnology startup, where they work in biological computing. I know when I say that, lots of people think cyborg, etc. So I work alongside lots of software engineers, which is not something I've ever imagined, to be honest. Very interesting, but we do we are working on quite a few applications. So one of the things, sorry, I don't know if you can hear background noises here. So one of the projects, for example, that we started to work on is how do we use biological computing to inform on cognitive functions and impacts of certain drugs, so drug testing. So that's one of the projects the company is involved in now. And there are others, applications in that space. So there's gaming, there's even proper computer processing. And for me, I guess, so now with my very, diverse background in terms of field, so I do lots of neuroscience work, but also hardware design work, because that's one of the things that I do a lot in my PhD. And being, to be honest, at, interface between different fields, like that led me to, understand that sometimes, as you've seen many of the people here, we've had lots of, changes in pathways, etc. And while it can be a bit painful and sometimes discouraging, like you're under a lot of pressure and things like that, but it does build, how Marlaina said, the confidence for me was resilience, like it gives you that confidence. Okay, whatever comes my way, I'm gonna somehow, with divine power and motivation, like you'll figure it out. And the pathway sometimes that we go through is not just for us, but it also empowers us to help other people. And that's one of the things I've seen in many of the leaders in BIT. And lots of advice that we get or other people get often comes from experience, right? So, some of us need to go through certain things, to build on that resilience and experience. And if, I'm sure lots of people among, in the audience, and even ourselves, going through some things, but, just be reassured that it's going to be worth it somehow. And so that's a bit my little path that I wanted to share. There you go.
Wow, it's an amazing path. And what I like is how you're so multi-talented and you found a way to bring your talents, your interests, your passions together in this diverse tech ecosystem. So that's really unique and it is phenomenal. So it is now 8:10. And so I would ask if just each of you, just like in like as short as possible, can perhaps say, what is one problem in the tech ecosystem that if you could build your ideal tech ecosystem that just each of you would like to solve? Just one problem for each of you, really briefly. So we'll go back to Greg.
So for me, I just want fairness and opportunity. What I mean by that is I listen to a lot of tech podcasts, and often what I hear in these tech podcasts that are normally kind of organized and by white men is I hear the history of how they started in tech. And a lot of times what I hear is, oh, I wasn't even in tech. I was, maybe in college doing this other thing. And then all of a sudden, a friend of mine said, hey, like I have this tech company, why don't you come on board and be the systems administrator? So without any relevant experience, without any exposure to coding or anything like that, these white men were given the opportunity to get into the tech field and start their journey into tech and begin this career that became lucrative for them. And then later on, once they were in tech, and after that first stint at this maybe startup, they were able to go on from there to maybe a larger company and then begin their own company. And then maybe they had some type of exit that netted them some millions of dollars. And that opportunity to not have any experience in tech, to be able to take this person and say, hey, you have potential. You might not have the experience, but I can see the potential, and give them a shot is what I want to see happen within our community. And not only that, but then those types of stories are then propelled and shared within that community. So that inspires the next person, right? And so for me, it's not only provide us with those same opportunities, and not only their opportunities, but give us that knowledge to take advantage of those opportunities, because the opportunities are always there, but how do we as individuals, as a community, be able to take advantage of those opportunities? And then also, how do we begin to write our own narratives around how we took advantage of these opportunities? So it's not just a thing of, white man after white man, okay, white woman, and then white man, white man, white man. But how do we as Black people be able to tell our own stories, give those stories, and provide that knowledge and that wisdom so that people coming behind us can take those, take that knowledge and take those opportunities and be able to turn those into reality and economic success for them. So for me, that's kind of where, that's where BIT falls into that whole thing. It's like, not only are we talking about providing the training and the resources and things like that, but providing the stories and the journeys and the opportunities to others so that they can see, and the narrative, we wrap that around this narrative that we're here, we're in this space, and if we can do it, so for instance, and kind of, it's not a shameless plug since this is this is all tied to BIT, but there's a campaign right now that we're doing called See Us, See Yourself, and it all stems around this seeing us as our authentic selves, doing other things outside of tech, but it's done so that we can tell this narrative of who we are outside of tech so that others can relate, others within our community. So you can be, I think someone mentioned Lafayette as being a DJ. You can be a DJ. You can be a music promoter. You can be an artist. You can be someone who dabbles in video or photography or whatever, and still have this love for tech and let that, that whole thing become, you are that, right? And so this allows people who come behind us to say, okay, I have all these interests. I see these people in these positions, and this narrative is of I can be whatever I want to be, no matter what what my other interests are, I can still be in tech. And so that drives this narrative that tech is not just for cis white males, right? It's for everyone. And so that's the inspiration and what I want others to take from this, and kind of what I want, what BIT is and what I want BIT to be more of in the future.
All right, thank you so much, Greg. Dennis, I'll give you a different question. How can the tech sector, based on what Greg was describing, which is really essential, with we all don't have the same level playing field. Like there's some people literally start life at the top. They don't go through all of what all of us have to go through to prove ourselves and to work hard. How can the tech sector be more even attractive? Because one of the issues we don't have enough representation because there's also not enough of us studying computer science or some of these STEM sectors. I think there's some articles that talked about there's a drop in Black students studying computer science, just as an example. So how can the sector be more attractive and inclusive of people who are underrepresented?
That's a great question. And it kind of dovetails into the last question too, the problem that I like to solve. But basically, if you look at the industry at a macro level and you think, okay, every company now is a digital company. You don't have to work for a Google or a Meta or any other tech company in order to work in tech. And when you look through that lens and you realize that there are, millions of jobs literally available, and there are not enough people who have credentials, computer science related to fill those jobs, that something needs to change. So one of the things that we're doing is working on applying pressure to companies to rethink their hiring practices. So where 4-year degree requirements have been a barrier in the past, we're working with organizations like 110. 110 is an organization that has a mission to upskill and retrain 1 million African Americans into family sustainable wages over the next 10 years. That's the 110. If you want to check them out, is oneten.org. And part of that is coming up with creative ways to get people in the door. So through certifications and training, which is a big push for the foundation, we do workforce development, and those certifications basically give you the practitioner level skills to do the job. So the theory is, tech should be a meritocracy. By that, I mean that if you can prove yourself through merit that you can do the job, then you should be able to get the job. It doesn't matter if you have a 4-year degree or not. So what I want to do is prop the door open to the back of the industry, let all the Black people flood in like World War Z, and get as many folks into tech as possible based on their transferable skills. There's a project I'm working on right now, one of the projects I'm working on, where I want to try to map those current transferable skills and interests to what the current occupational opportunities are in tech. So companies, look at these folks and say, okay, well, they don't have a computer science degree, but this person knows Java. This person, actually, worked and volunteered and actually created, something from nothing, and they can work in our environment. And we're getting companies to really buy into that. So long story short, I know we're running low on time. I'll cut it short. The way that I see that manifesting is companies, one, looking at themselves and taking an assessment of their needs, because there's a financial component to why companies hire, they need people, and realizing that, there are good people out there that can do the work, and it should be us.
100%. Definitely should be us. So Daniela and Marlaina, I'm hoping both of you can chime in on this question, but really quickly because of time. So for you, Daniela, what would you say are 2 top skills in tech that for our attendees who are here that we should probably consider developing? What are 2 of your top skills that you think, we should really learn, these 2 top skills?
Oh, there's plenty. I was just answering the question in the chat with a person called Dwayne. So well, I guess the very first one, which is kind of one of the reasons also why I joined BIT, is social skills, right? Like lots of people, we focus a lot on our trade and our technical skills, strategies to reach whatever position we want to have. But one of the things that is really important, especially, post-pandemic, I guess we all realize is how to be with others, right? How to be with others, and not just with others, but part of, communities and people that we meet every day, right? And that's, I guess, one of the main keys to success. Not just success in terms, like paychecks or whatever, but, like life success, right? Like, how do you have a good day every day? Well, not every day, but most days. And one of the things that I guess, the problems that we have today is how do we create sustainable communities that are fruitful in society? And that's what I see as well in BIT that's trying to do. And at work, there are lots of names for it, which is, inclusion, diversity. It is like giving people transferable skills for professional development. It's called, being tolerant. It's called being, now is, one of the things that I'm interested in is compassionate leadership. So how are we with each other? And I think today it's more important than any other, because another name that is out there is social capital. And we understand now, me being in teaching and working in industry, and being involved in communities, these are important things that are essential for people to thrive, whether it is in their health, their employment, accommodation, so, and, and also professional career development, because first of all, as many of the stories have said today, is, what do you believe in that drives you to do certain things, right? And that's what we heard through the stories. And and I think that's one of the problems that we do have in tech, like for example, for us Black people, but there are also other disadvantaged communities, for example, people who have history of incarceration, for instance, who want to make a change. It's like, how are they given that social capital to thrive? And that's one of the issues that these individuals have, even in terms of accessing education, for example, right? So and I think I would put that really at the top.
Okay,
right.
Thank you.
And then I guess the second one would be, develop your skills and traits. Definitely, so because of course, at the end of the day, whether you're employed or whether you build up your own business, etc., like you will need skills to support those visions, and being willing to learn and grow as you go, because things change, especially in tech, it changes very quickly.
Right. I want to give Marlaina a chance to chime in.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, thank you. All right, Marlaina, if you could just share quickly just 2 top skills that you think we should have.
Sure. I'll keep it short and sweet.
Yeah.
And it's what I tell everyone else: research and being a problem solver. And I have to be the one to say we're so into tech, build, take it tomorrow, build this cool thing, that we tend to forget about the human element of it. When people are always asking me, how do I get into tech? I always tell them take 2 courses. One, learn project management, which is my field, but do UX design. In fact, our chapter is doing design thinking workshop, because it takes you through that scientific process of researching what are the problems in the world today. How do we solve for that? Because that's what technology is. Today is AI, tomorrow's the metaverse. We don't know. Technology is always changing, but the problems are still here. When you understand, master the art of solving a problem, you're going to always be in business. You're going to always have the technology. And there's so many ways of solving it. So when you're exploring your career path, start with what you're passionate about first. If you like music and you like tech, there's an opportunity for you. If you like art and you like tech, the biggest thing right now, NFT. Figure out what are the problems in your industry, in your passion areas. Figure out what you're good at from a tech side, and that's how you solve for it. And research, I would say every IT person here today can say about 75% of our job is going on google.com and finding the answer.
That's right.
And researching it, even with our Yale degrees, that if you can do your research understand contact aspect of it, figure out the different ways of how to solve for it, you're good enough to be into tech. So I end up
Awesome.
with that.
Very insightful, very practical, very useful. So I hope those in the chat are taking questions. And the last wrap-up question is to Dennis. Who is Bit for, and what are the benefits of becoming a member? Because people want to know.
All right. So this is my favorite question, and I'll do it in about 2 minutes.
Okay.
So it is for anyone who wants to get into tech or who's interested in tech. You don't necessarily have to want to pursue a career, but the majority of our member base are IT practitioners, basically people who work in the IT department for somebody. But we also have students, we have educators, we have entrepreneurs, we have engineers. So we define tech, with a pretty wide umbrella. And if you think your role or your interest is technology related, then chances are you belong with us. It is a community for people of African descent. So there's that.
And I put the link in the chat. And it's free to be a member.
So, and I always equate it, we have allies, we have supporters, but the resources and tools should go to those people who are underserved and underrepresented, which in our organization are Black people. We have, that's a good segue to the resources. So the resources that we provide a lot of discounted and free services. We have about 40 different point programs right now with different organizations, from apprenticeship programs to boot camps to accelerators to self-paced learning. You name it, we probably have a relationship with an organization that does what you want. We have project management, we have hard technical stuff, we have sales and customer service related things. You name it, we got it. Join, it's free. Done.
Awesome. Thank you, Dennis. And the link is in the chat. So please check out our website. Patricia, I know we are at the bottom of it is 8:30 on the dot almost. And I don't know if you can capture all of what was discussed in French, to be fair to our French community. So it's up to you as to how you want to share some maybe highlights centered around the questions. And
oh, you gave her a 2-minute recap in French?
No. It's not 2 minutes. I don't want to rush her. So it's just up to you. I don't want to rush you. So if you all can stay to hear the French translation, please do, because I don't want to rush Patricia. So it's your call.
So yeah, I'm going to share what, I guess, my key takeaways.
Some themes.
Oui, en fait, c'est ça, de ce qui a été discuté, il y a beaucoup de choses. Les panélistes ont partagé leur expérience. Stacy leur a demandé comment ils ont créé leur propre opportunité dans le secteur des technologies. Donc, on a Greg qui a parlé de son évolution, du fait qu'il a appris, c'est vraiment le self-taught, en fait, de se former soi-même. C'est ça, de ne pas se décourager. Denis qui a partagé aussi son expérience, qui de base était son rêve, son but c'était de jouer au football américain, mais après s'être blessé, donc il a dû se trouver d'autres solutions. Il a commencé à faire des petits boulots, à vendre des livres de porte à porte. Donc c'est par ça qu'il a découvert en fait certaines de ses compétences et de ses capacités, notamment le fait qu'il aimait parler aux gens, des capacités commerciales. Donc tout ça, ce sont des compétences qu'il a pu transférer dans son rôle futur, où il a commencé en tant que dans une entreprise APC, je pense, en relation clientèle, et il a pu évoluer grâce à ses compétences qu'il avait amenées jusqu'à avoir un salaire à 6 chiffres. Marlaina, a lot to say. Non, c'est ça, je pense que vraiment ce que j'ai retenu, ça m'a beaucoup parlé aussi, c'est de savoir rebondir, surtout avec ce qui s'est passé avec le Covid. C'est vraiment en fait une qualité, une compétence en fait qu'on développe quand on est face à beaucoup de challenges. Et c'est ça. Et puis, c'est une qualité qui sert vraiment quand on veut atteindre ses objectifs. Donc, elle a donné elle a donné plusieurs exemples, mais un des derniers exemples, c'est son souhait de travailler dans tout ce qui était intelligence artificielle, chose qu'elle a pu faire malgré le fait qu'elle ne savait pas ni coder, ni qu'elle avait aucune expérience dans les technologies. Donc, elle a intégré un business incubateur. Donc, c'est un peu comme ça qu'elle a pu intégrer en fait cette spécialité. Donc, c'est ça. Donc, il n'y a pas un seul chemin pour arriver là où on veut aller. Donc, c'était vraiment ça le message. Et puis, c'est ça. Et puis, l'autre question que Stécie leur a demandé, c'était vraiment quelles sont les choses qu'ils aimeraient résoudre dans le secteur des technologies. Donc, on a parlé d'équité, d'opportunités, le fait de transmettre, de saisir les opportunités, de créer les opportunités, mais surtout de les transmettre aux générations futures. Donc ça, c'est très important. On a parlé aussi des compétences, des 2 compétences clés pour réussir dans le secteur des technologies. Donc, Daniela a parlé des compétences sociales. On oublie souvent parce qu'on parle souvent de tout ce qui est technique, mais les compétences sociales sont très importantes. De savoir, c'est ça, être avec les autres, vivre avec les autres, manager des équipes. Enfin, c'est vraiment tout ce qui est aspect au côté social. Et Marlène, je pense, a parlé aussi de l'importance de la recherche et de la résolution des problèmes. Donc, c'est vraiment deux compétences. Et puis, pour terminer, c'est ça, Denis a parlé de Blackstone Technology, l'avantage de se joindre à l'organisation. Donc, vous pouvez être membre gratuitement. C'est vraiment une communauté pour les personnes de descendance africaine qui veulent réseauter, avoir accès à des différents types de ressources, des services gratuits ou à prix réduit, que ce soit des bootcamps, incubateurs, formations, voilà, plein de bonnes choses. That's it.
Wow, Patricia, you are a rock star to even know how to summarize all that great content. Thank you. Let's give her a huge round of applause. And this is a sign that we need to have, follow-up conversations and do deeper dives on some of the issues that was outlined. So I hope, all of our guests who attended found it insightful. I hope you were inspired to join BIT. I hope you're inspired to carve your own niche in whatever sector you're in and adding value and being a problem solver, really understanding the value of having good research skills and being persistent, because even my career is because of persistence, to be honest. So I do have some quick announcements before we wrap up. If you do have a question, though, as I'm reading through the announcements, please just put in the chat. We'll do our best to take at least 2 questions, but in the interest of time, and it is an evening, and I know folks probably want to just get back to their evening, we don't want to keep you too much longer. So please do feel free to connect with any of our speakers on LinkedIn. They are on LinkedIn, they're Googleable, you can find them. And for those of you who live in Toronto, some exciting announcement. Our first in-person event will be on August 18th at the largest digital music streaming company on the planet, known as Spotify. So please save the date. We hope that those of you who live in Toronto can come to that, and details will be on our page. We also want to invite you to Bitcon, which is BIT's annual conference. It's going to be in Orlando, Florida, October 26th to the 28th, hosted by Disney World. So it's going to be exciting, dynamic lineup of speakers, great networking, fun activities. It is going to be lots of fun. So hopefully you can join us. You can get all the details from blacksintechnology.net. And lastly, I put the link in the chat. Please join BIT. It's free to be a member. There's a lot of good resources. If you're a parent, you're on this call, share with your child. If you're a godparent, auntie, uncle, share, because we need to recruit Black talent even younger, as young as high school. I'm an auntie of 6 nephews, and I'm telling them all the time about the stuff that I do. So I want to encourage parents and those who are guardians to children to please share what we do. So thanks again to each and every one of you for taking time out of your schedule to join us for our launch, to support our launch. Thank you to our panelists, our guest speaker, to the BIT Toronto team, and I will pass it back to Patricia, who will wrap up what I just said in French, and it's a wrap.
Oui, merci à tous d'être venus ce soir. Donc c'est ça, Stécie disait que n'hésitez pas à nous suivre sur LinkedIn, BIT Toronto. C'est ça, sur LinkedIn, que notre premier événement en personne, en physique, sera le 18 août dans les locaux de Spotify. Donc, on donnera les infos sur nos réseaux sociaux très rapidement. N'hésitez pas à vous connecter avec les panélistes. Ils sont super sympas, très ouverts. Donc, si vous avez des questions, n'hésitez pas à vous connecter avec eux. La plateforme est faite pour ça. Et on a également la conférence Bitcon qui sera à Orlando du 26 au 28 octobre, donc à Orlando en Floride, organisée donc en partenariat avec Disney. Donc, c'est sa grande conférence. Donc, on a hâte d'y être. Et puis c'est ça. Et puis, allez sur le site Blackstone Technology. Je pense qu'on a mis l'URL dans le chat pour avoir plus d'infos sur tout ce qu'on fait.
Awesome. Thanks again, Patricia.
No problem.
All right. So thanks again, everyone. I was checking the chat to see if there was any questions or comments, but I see a lot of positive comments. So thanks again for the positive feedback. And yeah, thanks again. So please do stay connected with us. And we do have this session recorded. So feel free to watch the replay and share it with your network.
Stacey, thanks. Bit Toronto. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
everyone.
Good
Have
night.
a good evening.
Yeah, everyone.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.